Welcome back to the Drive Home Reviews podcast, where I review the movies I have just seen as I am driving home from the theater. And this week, this film is one of those movies that I have a sneaking suspicion that the studio, the producers, the advertising department, whoever you want to say, I get the distinct feeling that they didn't know how to market this movie, because the film that they advertise in the trailer is very different in tone and feel from the one that you actually get. The trailer plays it up like your normal rom-com with the chipper music and the little title cards. They don't have the voice, but you can practically hear, the Rob Schneider voice going throughout this thing.
Rob Schneider, derp-de-derp. Derp-de-derpity-derpy-derp. Until one day, derp-a-derp-a-derp-a-derp. Derp-de-derp, da-teedly-tum. From the creators of Derp and Tum to Teedly Dumpy-Derp, Rob Schneider is da derp-de-derp da teedly-derpy-derpy-dum. Rated PG-13.
That kind of thing. So you're thinking, okay, this is going to be a kind of a silly rom-com with an LGBTQ twist. Maybe like a modern-day Birdcage. And then you watch it, and that's not what this movie is. This movie is actually much more dramatic than its advertising would lead you to believe. After watching it, I went back and rewatched the trailer again. And yeah, having had the context of the movie, the trailer does look like it's at odds with itself. With the chipper music, the title cards don't feel like they match with the more somber lighting and tone of a lot of the scenes. So I'm not quite sure where the disconnect happened. Yeah, I will say it worked a little bit both for and against this film, because it made me want to see it. I was very interested to see it, but then when it happened, it took me a little while to get into it, because I was expecting one thing, and when that wasn't happening, I was like, is this supposed to be funny? If it's funny, I'm missing something. But no, I think this movie wanted to be taken a lot more seriously than its advertising would lead you to believe. So I think in the end it did it a disservice. I'm talking a lot about the trailer here, but I think that's important because, again, they're supposed to whet your appetite for what you're going to see. It's supposed to give you some kind of forerunning into what it is you're actually going to be witnessing. And I feel in this case, it did a disservice by preparing you for one thing but giving you another. So, enough of that. Let's talk about the movie we actually have. So, if you aren't familiar with the premise of this movie, we have two LGBTQ couples. I'm sorry if I've forgotten some letters in there, or if I've said the wrong designation. That's the last one I remember. It's very hard to keep up with, when new letters get added. So if I've missed something, I apologize. So you have Bo and Yang of Saturday Night Live fame, and Han Ji Chen, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name, as one couple. And you have Lily Gladstone, formerly of Flowers of the, or was it Something of the Flower Moon? But she's an Oscar nominee. And Kelly Marie Tran as the other couple. Kelly Marie Tran, most notably, of the Star Wars sequel trilogy. And that poor person who the fanboys ripped apart mercilessly for no good reason. And set her back quite a bit because of it. Bastards. And I mean that honestly. I think the people who do that are just the biggest of shitheads. So anyway, you have these two couples. Hanji Chen wants to marry Bowen Yang so he can stay in the country because his student visa is expiring and his grandmother expects him to return to Korea in order to take up the family business. Meanwhile, Lily Gladstone and Kelly Marie Tran are attempting to have a baby, but the in vitro fertilization process is very expensive. They don't have the money. They've tried twice. It hasn't taken. So in the midst of this, Hanji Chen comes up with the idea that if he marries Kelly Marie Tran to get a green card, so he can stay in the country and not have to go back to Korea, that he will then pay for their in vitro fertilization process. So yeah, it sounds like a wacky setup. But once again, when you actually watch the movie, there's much more dramatic tension pushing everyone in the direction that they're headed. So, for instance, Hanji Chen wants to marry Bowen Yang, but Bowen Yang, for some reason, is very hesitant. He's not ready to get married. He's living this, as they call it, this millennial dream lifestyle. He's got a job leading bird watching tours, so he really doesn't have that much responsibility, and he thinks that he's a complete fuck up and that he's going to ruin this guy's life and all of that. Meanwhile, on the other side of it, Lily Gladstone really is excited about having a baby, but Kelly Marie Tran is much more on the fence about it, mainly because of the very difficult relationship she has with her own mother, so she fears she's going to be a bad mother too. There are much more in-depth emotions driving everyone's choices than just kind of the regular wacky rom-com logic of this is just what we have to do to get to the setup for the next joke. And the closest thing I can think of in terms of classification for this is it definitely feels like what I would classify as an indie movie. This is very, like I say, a lot of low lighting, a lot of very muted scenes and color palettes. The characters spend an awful lot of time moping. There's a lot of very poignant staring, which is indicative of indie movies, acting, kind of things. So, yeah. Let me be positive first. Because I think there's a lot of good going on in this movie. So once I kind of understood what I was watching, I was able to process it a little bit better than, for the first, 20 minutes or so, I was very confused as to what I was watching. So let me first say that I think, this is a very important movie. I think this is a movie, and there's a reason why this is done in a more independent vein, because a lot of major studios are still afraid to touch things like this. But this is a very important movie, if for no other reason than it's offering a very, very different point of view than we are accustomed to, and not just because it's an LGBTQ plus romantic story, but because it's coming from the point of view of minorities within that community. So, as Hooper X said in Chasing Amy, he's a minority within a minority, and that's exactly what these characters are facing, is that they are minorities within a minority, and what that looks like, especially from people who are only a few generations removed from being newly arrived here. So how, if we think the typical, son comes out to his family over Thanksgiving dinner ruining the Norman Rockwell painting, is a thing. Like, how difficult and challenging must it be for these people who live in more traditional or constrictive cultures to come out and to be themselves. That's got to be very trying and must take an extreme emotional toll on the person. And this is a movie that is shedding some light on that, or just showing what that daily struggle is. So in that aspect, I think that's an important thing. I really do. I also have to say, and this is always wonderful with movies like this, you can tell every one of these actors is 100% here for it. And they are acting their asses off. Bowen Yang, who I'm only ever familiar with from Saturday Night Live, is really turning in a great performance. He is very, very good in this. Like, much to my surprise, I would not have thought him in that kind of upper echelon of acting, but nah, he's very good. Ditto Kelly Marie Tran. They're all doing a great job. There's not a bad performance in the movie, but she especially looks to me like she is just pouring over every line and every moment. It just feels like she is so there for. I literally do feel like a performance like this is a middle finger to every trolling shithead that ever bullied her on social media because she dared to be in a Star Wars movie. So, basically just every line, the subtext being, fuck you, I'll show you what acting is. And yeah. And as I've said, all of the actors they're clearly very touched by the material. They are clearly moved by it, and they are clearly trying to do the very best job they can to do the project justice. And I respect the hell out of that. I really do. And they're all bringing their A game. They're all here to play. They feel like they not only feel like real couples, but they feel like real friends and real people. Like their interpersonal relationships, which get very messy throughout the course of the film, still feel like they're grounded in a real centered place. They all feel like people you could know and maybe do know. I also have to say that in the moments where the film does kind of allow the comedy to slip through, the comedy is still pretty funny, and there are some decent moments of humor. With that in mind, I have to ask this question, because they do this in almost every LGBTQ themed movie I've ever seen. There's always that scene where the person who doesn't know that somebody's gay is coming to visit, and as Bowen Yang says, they have to de-queer the house. So they run through the house grabbing everything that could be interpreted as gay or give a clue to the person's real orientation out of there. Of course, there's that famous scene in the birdcage where they do this. So I have this question, a legitimate question to any LGBTQ people listening. First of all, thank you for tuning in. Second of all, do gay people decorate their house with nothing but gay-themed art and photographs? Now, I'm not just talking about photos of you with your significant other or your partner. I'm not talking about that. Yeah, I understand that. But in all these movies, they have to go through and pull down all these paintings of vaginas and, women embracing and all. Is that actually how gay people decorate? I'm legitimately curious, because I can only take it from my limited perspective. And just going, well, I'm heterosexual, but I don't decorate my walls with paintings of men and women having sex. But they do this in every LGBTQ themed movie. Like it's like a real, it's like a staple of them. So I'm always just like, is that actually how they decorate? I really don't know. I should ask. I'm in a show right now with a couple of LGBTQers. I should ask them tonight and just see what they say. All right, so brief addendum. So I actually did confer with the gays. I have a couple gays here with me, and they're going to give me their feedback. So guys, do in fact gay people decorate their houses with all like gay decorations? So what's your insight?
It depends. I would say it's pretty common amongst lady gays to have lady bits and parts around the place.
And also very classy wine gays.
Okay.
I feel.
So how would you classify a wine gay?
It's usually two white men.
Okay.
I'd say. Especially like in the city, and they have quite a bit of money.
Okay.
So they're like very privileged.
Okay, so they would
And
have.
they have like art that's very like costly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We have another gay. Oh, that's good. So we have another gay who's joining us. So the question is, because we always see it in films, do gay people actually decorate their houses with like all gay art and whatnot?
The ones I know, yeah.
Okay, the ones you know. Okay, like really graphic stuff. Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So so you heard it here. Anything anyone wants to add?
It just depends on the gay.
Okay. Which I guess makes sense. Like
I only know the raunchy gays.
Okay, so you know the raunchy gays, you're talking the wine gays, and you speak for the lady gays.
The lesbians.
Okay, great. Okay, so thank you guys. I appreciate that. Like I say, go. This is what we mean by educate yourself, listeners. Like go and
Be gay.
like you go and be gay.
Do
Exactly.
crimes.
Yeah,
Gay.
and that's how you know about like how gay people actually decorate. So thank you gays. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, not gay.
I gotta show you what I said.
I also have to say, one of the things that I enjoyed about this movie is that it's smart. And what I mean by that is it takes some of these moments and treats them in a way that a normal person would. And anyone who's seen a romantic comedy knows that there's behavior that goes on in those that you just have to say, can nobody see through this? Is everybody just that dumb? So I'll ruin this a little bit, and I'm sorry. So I guess this would qualify as a spoiler alert, I guess.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. It's spoiler alert!
Spoiler alert!
Spoiler alert. Maybe say spoiler before you give away the end of a movie, okay?
But there is this wonderful moment. So they make this plan, and Hanji Chen's grandmother shows up unexpectedly to meet, his prospective bride. And, so they're running around trying to get the house looking good. They're going to lie about who's with who and all of this. And you think you kind of see where this is going. But Grandma is in the room with them for 2 minutes and just goes, "What are you two doing? Like, do you really think I'm this stupid that I can't see that this is some kind of sham? And that I don't know that you're gay, and, what are you doing? What is this?" It's refreshing to kind of see somebody kind of do that and just be like, guys, come on now, let's... and then Grandma becomes a much more involved member of the movie than I think a normal romantic comedy would have allowed her. They would have kept her as kind of a more one-dimensional character, an archetype, the monocle popper, just, oh yeah, the orthodox of this is most un kind of thing. Excuse me. But once she's there, the film then becomes a much deeper exploration of generational issues, and Hanji Chen and his grandmother kind of talking about their relationship and their experiences, and her kind of learning about him, more being who he is and not who she's trying to force him to be. It's very well done. and incredibly tender. Because the movie, one of its driving themes is family, not just blood family, but found family. The community that you create, and how those people are every bit as much your family as your blood relatives, and in some cases more so. So this, having him have this anchor relationship with his grandmother is another great exploration. And that's the other thing that's interesting about this. I feel like all the relationships, all the motivations, everything in this film are given time to breathe. Like, it's not a thing where this is one person's movie and everybody else's stories are kind of pushed to the side. These are not archetypes. These are very well fleshed out, three-dimensional characters having real crises of emotion, of conscience, of self. And once again, because the actors are all just pouring their hearts and souls into it, it all comes off very genuine and very, very moving. So, yeah, I think that there's a lot of good things going on in this movie. I think there's a lot of great choices and smart elements that are being put on display. Good filmmaking. So, why then am I feeling a little depressed? Because when all is said and done, I have to be honest, and all I can do is give you my honest assessment for whatever it's worth, and maybe it's not worth much in this instance. For all the good things that this movie has going for it, I just couldn't get into it. I just couldn't. I really tried, guys. I really, really tried. And even after kind of realizing, okay, the advertising had kind of led me down the wrong path and having to reshift my focus, it just wasn't connecting with me. Now, I feel I must say that I do believe that is more of an issue with me than it is the film. I think, and I hate using this as an excuse, because I tend to believe that if a movie is really good, it will transcend, not biases, but you know what I'm saying. You know, it'll reach its audience, regardless of who it might have been aimed for. The wider audience will still go along with it if it's good. But at the same time, I have to acknowledge that this is not a movie made for someone like me. This is not my story. This is not, this isn't a movie made for me. That's all. I have to stress, I have to underline, that is a good thing. I am not saying that as a negative. I don't think that, I don't believe every movie should be made for me, the heterosexual white man. I'm glad that there are other perspectives and other stories and other things being put out there into the world. It just, when it came to this one, it was very hard for me to get into it and really enjoy it. It felt longer and more tedious to get through than it actually was. I do feel one of the downsides to independent movies, I've said this a lot in reviewing things like Manchester by the Sea and whatnot, is movies like this tend to know or have a sense of how important they want to be, and so the framing and the directorial choices, the visual language, tends to be a little bit more pompous. meaning that so many shots and so many moments are set up in a feel how important this is. Do you see the sad thing that is happening? Cry for the sadness. You know, that's why I mentioned, like, in the acting, just a lot of long kind of actors looking very sad and mopey into the camera. That's a very independent movie thing. You're showing the deep turmoil going on inside. Yeah, it just, you know, for all the good things going on in this movie, when I finally went to review it, I was struggling to come up with things to say. And that's not a good sign. If you're good, then I have nothing but praise to give you. If it's mediocre and has issues, I can at least talk about those. And if it's downright bad, then there's always something to rip into. But when you're just kind of there, there's not a lot of ground to cover review-wise. So yeah, I just feel like it just didn't connect with me. And there's nothing bad in the movie. There's nothing anger-inducing except one thing. This is the only thing that pisses me off. And it's not so much a fault of this movie. I've seen this in a lot of movies. Can I please, for the love of fucking God, could I please see a movie where nobody gets puked on, or I don't see anyone taking a shit? I cannot stand watching movies where people throw up and that we have to watch someone sit on the toilet. Now, they don't do the sitting on the toilet thing in this one, but yes, of course, someone has to throw up on someone else. It's like, God, can we please stop with that? Yeah, that got me angry, but that's not really the movie's fault. That's more just the environment the movie lives in, you know. Aside from that, and again, a personal grievance there, the movie doesn't do anything terrible. Like I say, there's a lot of passion. There's some very good acting, you know. It's an important story. It's a new perspective. But I just couldn't connect with it. And I don't know if that's simply because I'm not the intended audience, or if the film itself is missing something in terms of its pacing that might have pumped it up a little bit and kept me engaged. I don't know. So, as I close in on the end of this review and I have to get down to giving it its final grade, I do so with a very large asterisk by this film. So, the final grade for me for this movie is a C+. And I feel bad about that. I want to give this a higher grade. I feel like it deserves a higher grade, but going just on my gut and on how I felt in the moment watching it, I just can't. You know, I'm sorry. So, yeah, I'm going with a C+. But again, I'm putting this rather large asterisk next to it and saying that I do believe this is an important film. And I do believe that there are people out there for whom this movie is going to be incredibly important. You're going to feel seen, and you're going to feel like your story is being told. And I urge this with all movies I review in most cases. But I urge you to go and watch the movie for yourself and make your own determination, because I really do feel like I am not the right person to put this into perspective. So go and watch it yourself, and maybe it will connect with you in a stronger way than it did with me. I hope it does. because I do think there's an audience for this, and I do think there is somebody out there for whom this movie is going to be very, very, very important. That's just not me. So yeah. So I don't know if I really helped anything here or not, but excuse me. But that's where I'm at. So, so there you are, a very conflicted and somewhat confusing final grade for this film. But let's wrap this up. So thank you for coming along. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for listening. Take care of yourselves. And as always, drive safe. And I will see you at the movies.